capture all that. First and foremost, Laura, I want to thank you and welcome you. My name is Kelby Smith. The first time we really meet, probably 60 seconds into a conversation with you. And I'm going to try to get your title right. You're a health and wellness and herbalist expert, and you help people with their nutrition and their lifestyles. And you have a website called TheMiracleOfYou.info. What I'd like to do is let you kind of introduce yourself and say how you got to this position that you're in, and just see where the dialogue goes.
Sure, absolutely. So I found myself, this was over 25 years ago, as a young mom in my early 30s, and my own body was breaking down slowly by slowly. My thyroid went out, my gallbladder was 100% non-functioning. I had fibromyalgia symptoms, IBS, depression. I mean, you name it, I was going through that. But it's important to note that I was the caregiver for my dad that was terminal. I was taking care of my husband at the time, who's very sick with Lyme disease for 10 years. And I was trying to homeschool my two kids, my two youngest. And so it became very difficult. And I began having a pain in my abdomen. And they couldn't figure it out. The doctors, went to doctor after doctor, and nobody could quite figure it out. So eventually I had diagnostic surgery, and the doctors were like, looky here, you've got this incurable disease. It's not terminal. You can live with it the rest of your life, but we've got to do radical surgery, and you're going to have to be on medications the rest of your life. I didn't want that. There was something about that I was like, I'm too young for this. The first thought that hit my brain was, wait a minute, my body would never betray me. Something's going on, but my own body would
Well, that's
never
a good
attack
way to
me.
put it. That's a good way
Yeah,
to put
my
it.
body would
Yeah.
never. I love how Western medicine loves to say your body's attacking itself. No, our bodies would never attack ourselves. We are highly technological beings, so that's not true in my world. By the way, I'm a holistic health and wellness consultant. So long story short, when they did the diagnostic surgery, they also cut me inside. So I bled internally for a week, and they had to have a drain put in. So I kind of didn't want to rush for the surgery. I was like, I'm just, you know what? I need a minute. Well, this was many years ago, over 25 years ago. So I decided to become a researcher and understand the condition that I had, and which was endometriosis, by the way, and it had spread to my spine. And so it was very, very painful. And I said, I'm going to heal it. I didn't know how, had no idea how, but the inner warrior came out and said, I'm going to heal myself one way or the other. And so I did. I went out on a 10-year journey. I learned how the body gets sick, and I learned what heals the body. And what we're not told in society, especially Western medicine, since they're only taught to address and treat symptoms or do surgery. That's the only two dynamics that they're really taught. And so we don't hear too often that the body knows how to heal itself, that it's a self-regulating organism, and that's very highly technological if we stop preventing the healing. So the first thing I did was went off white sugar and changed my diet. I hired a nutritionist out of Denver who said she healed herself from the same thing I had. And in less than 2 weeks, I didn't need my cane anymore. I was walking with a cane. And so I knew there was something to this eating better and all of this. So I did it. I grew a big holistic garden. I really jumped into the self-healing thing, but I really became a researcher. And I got to say, Google was very different 25 years ago. So there was a lot more information that was available to me back then. So I did fully heal myself in that journey. I quickly learned that herbs and plants and all of this have so many healing powers, as does bone broth. There's so many different dynamics that we can fall on. But I went on to become a master herbalist eventually, and then I began to understand not just nutrition and detox, which is where I started. is I began to understand emotions and stress and trapped emotions in the body.
So you've seen the movie Heal then?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I do. Those were all my mentors.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, I learned from so many.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
so I began to understand the mental and emotional component to every chronic illness. Every chronic illness has an emotional root cause. And that began the next tier of my healing journey and my researching. And I eventually went on to learn quantum physics, and I now implement quantum physics into my program. Quantum physics simply means very similar to epigenetics. There's a change with our
Energy.
chemical change in our body with our thoughts, whether they're positive or negative. We can control our genes. It doesn't mean we change our genes. We change the genetic expression of our genes through inner and outer environment. Throughout that journey, I guess it's okay to say that I had some massive spiritual awakenings. And so I went on to utilize some core healing strategies in my own life to expand my consciousness, to see the truth of who we are and what's happening in society. So meditation was a big catalyst for getting to that point. Um, so
Do you have
so
any
I do
particular faith that you believe in?
I believe in God and Jesus, and yes, all of that. I was raised Christian, and I was in the church my whole entire life, and so I can honestly say that um, learning the Bible in and out helped me really understand quantum physics. I did go on to study
Me
under
too.
yeah, I did study under a guru as well, simply because I didn't understand my spiritual awakening. And I'm like, what is going
Right.
on with me? Like, what is
Right.
this? And there was no information about what happened to me in Western society. And so it was a lot of fear and guesswork. But basically, where that has led me now to currently sitting before you is um, my gifts. We're all born with gifts, all of us. And my particular gift is I'm a medical intuitive. And so I'm able to sit with somebody and feel their energy and kind of know what's going on with them and then help them become their own healer. It's important to note I'm not the healer. The spirit works through me and helps them learn that they truly are their own healer.
You know, isn't it amazing that God has given us a near flawless, perfected body that has the ability to, like even our DNA, has a error correcting code section, like a little ambulance team that leaves, goes down the code, fixes it, and then comes back. And that's honestly my hope for the issue of the stuff being injected all over the world right now is that
Yeah,
we figure out a way to get rid of the cDNA and bring about the refreshed God gene or the refreshed gene that we were born with. Um,
absolutely.
and then you start looking at all the elements of what they're trying to do to dumb down America, the GMOs, the 5G, the fluoride, what is it called?
Fluoride,
Glyphosate, I think
glyphosate.
glyphosate in the foods. And I'm it's almost like it's not almost that we're being targeted. And
Well, we are. Well, we are,
yeah,
and that was my first entry into this world was something's not right. It's as I began to research our food systems was so poisonous. And I'm like for instance, when I decided I was going to heal myself and I was going to go off white sugar, and I found out how detrimental white sugar was, I said, okay, and this is in my book. I said, okay, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to buy stuff for chili, because chili's, innocent as it could be, right? So I go to the store and I pick out the things that I'm going to make for chili. And I picked up a big old can of Hanover kidney beans, I think it was, one of the giant sizes. And I turned the label around, and the third ingredient was sugar. And so it was really a revelation for me because I'm like thinking to myself, that makes absolutely no sense why they would put sugar in beans. It just doesn't make sense to me. So there's so many instances, just as you listed, fluoride, glyphosate, the wheat plant is a hybrid. It's not even the same wheat plant anymore.
Right.
Processed foods, the influx of soy, not only soy in processed foods, but our livestock are eating soy-based foods. And so while I help humans, I also like to bring awareness that our pets that are eating processed foods bought at the supermarket are also getting the same diseases as
I
we
agree.
are. The
Hey,
same
question.
thing.
Question. So, like, I get it. Everything is modified or been changed. Like, you look at the centennial map on the Earth of all the cities that have the most people that live beyond 100 years old. One of them is in the outskirts of Italy, and they make their own wheat. They make their own pasta. One of
Sure.
them in Japan. They have a specific purple potato that is extremely high in nutrition and extreme value, and they eat it every single day. But all those nutritional elements are secondary to the need of being loved, to the need of
That's
community,
it.
to the need
Yep.
of those
Connection.
things, which goes back to the Bible, what you're talking about, how you were learning from that element, and you had to even go, like, I've read the Bible to and fro and back and forth, and I have found um translational issues, and I have found things
Yes.
that cause me to subject and
Sure.
question, and that's just being honest. I'm not trying to piss
Yeah.
Christians off. That's
Nope.
just being
Me
honest.
too.
Um, one small example for the Christian community is the way the pastors are training people up in Romans 13, that we're to be obedient to the governing authorities, and that's kind of true in an element of being a U.S. citizen, but being a citizen of the United States of America, which is two different things. We are the government, and they're to be obedient to us, and the Constitution was to restrain them
That's
for
right.
our God-given unalienable rights, and that's been pulled off the table for modern day Christianity. And
Yes.
the teaching of, being a good Christian is to be a good taxpayer, and they use simple things that Christ did with, the bring me a denarius, and as you see Caesar's image, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, render unto God what is God's. He didn't say pay taxes.
No, I
And
agree. I saw the same sort of thing, and I think one of the best things that I did when I was that I did study under a guru who brought the East to marry the East and the West, not to separate. There's one God over all of us, and so
yeah,
it was more to bring more truth in that they understand that the Christians here in the West don't even, I guess, they don't really think through the what has been lost in the translation in some cases are pretty big and changes the whole context of things.
one
So
word.
I'm not trying to diss anybody either. So
Yeah, no, 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 I get it. We're not the Olympic
no,
committee with transvestites at the Last
no, that's
Supper.
not me.
Wow, no, that's not us. But I certainly appreciate your approach on everything that you're telling me so far, because that's what I had to do in my own life from being a believer is I everything I'm seeing in the world, the Bible's coming more to life. But the reality is like one word change. So let me give you an example. 2 Peter 2:13. You must be obedient to every form of human government. And there is no word must in the Greek. It's you may be required. And so when you
Right.
read the New Concordant and you're trying to get your mind wrapped around the teaching of that one verse, makes 2.5 billion Christians submit to a corporate governing authority, and they have no idea that they're, number one, the actual country has been stolen. Number two, they've been pledged against the debt using their BC, and I can go on with that stuff, and it's
For
boring
sure.
legalese.
Yeah.
But the reality is would you go up to a gangster? Would you go up to a murderer? Would you go up to a whore? Would you go up to a crime syndicate boss and pay them your tithe? And the
Hmm.
answer is no, we wouldn't. So why are we doing it to the largest street gangs in the world,
Hmm.
who, for a pretense, claim to be good, for a
Hmm.
pretense, are raiding countries, stealing their wealth, so that we can put our system of structure in there and we've killed millions and millions of people and
Or
developing their freedom and democracy. And it blows my mind that the Christian community out here is full acceptance. Like it's okay. Like
I
Iraq.
know, I know. It's almost like there's been a some sort of agreement that well, we're gonna between the masses that they're gonna just have to accept that, and God's gonna come save us, or Jesus is gonna come back and save us. And I'm not saying Jesus isn't coming back, but I'm saying that the people have to take the control. It's the people's job. So in the same context of what I do, it's not the doctor's job to heal us. It's our job to heal ourselves. The doctor cannot in most cases. And so we have to take that stand morally and otherwise in our lives. We must start taking that stand for ourselves.
Do you teach people how to see themselves as healed and live in that
Yeah.
emotion?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I absolutely do that. I do all of the whole emotional. So
People have no idea what I just said. You know, they're
I
like,
know, I know.
they don't
Believe
get
me,
that
it's you have that because our subconscious mind has no time. It doesn't understand time. And so you can't say,
filter.
I want to be healed a month from now or a year from now. The brain can't. So the only
Oh,
place
you
you can
just helped me.
heal,
You just helped me so much. The
oh, good.
subconscious has no concept of time.
Right, exactly. So you can only heal in the present moment by grasping the healing. And even the Bible says that when you pray,
Right.
forget, believe that
Pray
you've
as if you've
received it.
already been received. Yeah.
Thank you. And so in my group program, that's exactly where we go. The first week is nutrition. The second week is juices and smoothies to detox and fix deficiencies. And the third, fourth, and fifth weeks is all about our mindset because it's such a big part of it's here's how I explain it is your brain is the master and your master throws the stick and your body's the golden retriever. So it's going to go fetch the stick upon the command of your mind. But see, people are stuck in focusing on the problem. And so we have to work to rewire people's minds to focus on the outcome that they do want, you see. And then you call it for what it is. Amen. Here it is. And so it is.
That's a great analogy. You're really helping me out right now in understanding
Okay.
that
Yeah,
thought process.
I've had great success with people like even stage 4 cancer. There was a guy, I'll tell you this real quick, that lovely guy. A friend of mine referred him to me, and he couldn't move. He could only lay on the couch. He had a tumor the size of a small baby in his intestines, and the doctors had written him off. And so I was able to speak with him for, I guess, maybe 2 hours or so. He never saw me. He never, visited with me. I never gave him a written protocol or anything like that. I talked to him about his belief systems. I talked to him about food and detox and juicing and all this other stuff that I teach. But I spent the majority of the time really helping him understand his own body and that he's limitless. And why was that cancer there? What was the message there? And I didn't hear from him for a long time. And I was like, I would think about him every so often because it was a severe case. And finally, like a year later, he found me on Facebook and he's like, hey, I'm still here. I'm healed. And he's like, here's my testimony. Show it to everybody.
You had one dialogue with a guy. You flipped his
One dialogue.
you flipped his
Now
brain.
he did get chemo and radiation because he was doing that before he met me, obviously. But he totally embraced the holistic way. He changed his diet. He did all of that. And he went from negativity to positivity.
Congratulations, man. That's a huge testimonial.
It's possible. I only tell you that so your listeners could know what's possible for them. I'm one that healed from an incurable, and I see it all the time in my line of work.
Yeah. So, you know what's funny is the name of Jesus is not even Jesus, it's Yeshua
Yeshua.
or Yahushua. And the point is what's interesting to me is I have this testimonial. When I was a kid, I did drugs for the last time. I was in a El Camino in my mom's driveway. I was very young, and our hearts were pounding, and because of the types of drugs we were doing. And I remember everything came dark and it became very scary, like we were in the presence of evil. And we both got scared. And if you knew who we were back then and as people or individuals, you wouldn't have thought we would be scared really of anything. And so Laura, I bowed my head and I started praying. And I was praying out loud, what felt like 10 minutes. I don't know how long it was. Both of us were pushed back into the car seats at the same time. Both of our chests got extremely hot at the same time. And
Wow,
both
yeah,
and both of us had the full release of drugs at the same time. And then everything around us became super bright and light, and it was nighttime.
yeah,
And we felt the complete warmth and peace all around us, and we both looked
yeah,
at each other and we realized we witnessed a miracle.
yes,
Now, I have been following miracles my whole adult life and trying to understand the components of it and understand the components of faith and how when Christ was here, he said, your faith has made you well over and over and over. And so it's
yeah,
a belief system
yeah,
and there's a power, yes, like the woman who just felt the hem of his garment, like if I can only touch him or even his hem, and she was able to, it says in the Bible that he felt the power leave him and then he looked. And so he doesn't even need to be paying attention for us to grab at that power that he's given within us, that lives within us. If you believe the Holy Spirit does live within
yeah,
you.
yeah,
And I started experiencing the ability to do miracles and change things and get prayer answered in every element of my life. I once broke a bone or a couple of bones coming into my truck, trying to save my truck from going into. I was backing it in. I forgot to put it in to park, and literally the next within 3 feet by the time I stopped it was the water. It would have been a
oh,
drop into the water, but
yeah,
I forgot to put it in park all the way, and I got out and walked, and then I started looking back. My truck was going. I ran towards, and I broke the top of my foot right there, getting in to really fast to the side, and then I did a full step, and it was really painful to stop it. Um, and I spent the next 2 days in faith, believing and saying the name of Yeshua, the name of Jesus, actually, be healed, foot be healed. And I'm not, when I'm about to say, I'm not exaggerating. By that night, um, I was feeling a lot better. By the next morning, it was completely
yeah,
together. By that next afternoon, I was able to take a step. By the second day, I was walking normal.
yeah,
And
I
you
believe it.
could see the bone separation. You can see the level of browning and bruisedness and blood and on the inside, and it was all gone on Sunday. And I'm going to tell you that is a miracle for me, but it's a miracle that I initiated in that I said in that name be healed. And
Hmm.
I must have said it 180 times, 150 times over that whole next 2 days, but it healed.
Yeah,
And so I'm thinking there's that element that you were saying, that extra dimensional thing where you're talking about outside of the scope of what we can see, where
absolutely.
you are looking at tapping into the energies that God surrounds us with all over the world at all times.
That's
And it,
absolutely right. And that is why so many people have spontaneous healings through meditation because God is present. And when we stop the chatter of our minds and we can be silent, let what I call having the mind laid down, we can access this connection, this presence around us so much easier. If you would think about the moon being the divine, right? And the moon shining on a big body of water. But when the water's jostled around big waves and white caps on it, the moon's reflection is all broken up and you can't see a clear reflection. But when the moon shines on a big body of water, and the water is smooth and glass-like and calm, the full reflection is seen. And so this is where we see, if you watch that movie Heal, It's been a long time since I saw it, but I do think that they talked about meditation in there. But this is where we see so many unbelievable, even with me, I've had amazing miracles, like you just said, just through meditation, where we can truly access God's presence and the spirit.
That's neat. What is I know you probably have a lot of different programs. What does it take for somebody who's dealing with cancer to go through your program?
Yeah, well, we start with a consultation. They're free right now. This I'm walking my divine path. This is what I'm here to do, is to empower others to heal. And so having somebody come just talk to me and find out what's going on in their lives that has brought about this imbalance is super important. Cancer is typically anger suppressed. So really understanding what's going on in their life that brought them here. So then we start there. We start there, and then we develop. I have a 5-week program. It's typically that's where everybody starts in that
Do they
in that.
come to you or they do it at home?
If they're near me, it's great for them to be with me because of my energy so high. But a lot of times it's over Zoom. So because my clients are all over the U.S.
Where are you at physically?
I'm in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Okay, it's a beautiful area.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's really awesome. What do you attribute like I mean obviously you went through what you went through and you've been helping people with healing and what is the I just most people need a consultation. Like what I used to do is I used to charge a consultation and then I would apply that towards anything they would buy. And therefore it wasn't taking up my time, but I was also able to talk to the people that were serious and are committed. So to hear you say free consultation, it blows me
Yeah,
away because there's a
I
lot of
know.
people out there like that can't.
Because there's the that and there's the element of I have to give back. This is my divine path, and I have to serve and be in service as much as I can. And so for those that do a consultation with me, if there's some way that I can help them and they don't need to come into the program, maybe we're just going to have a quick chat and I'm going to, like a lady just messaged me earlier, her gallbladder is working like 7%. And she's like, I don't want to have it removed, but doctors said it's done. And I was like, I'm just speaking from experience. Mine wasn't, but here's some things that you can do. And so I've got her started. And if she wants to work with me, she can. But I'm helping her now because she's in pain.
Yeah, it's hard to see people. That's what we deal with. We deal with people in pain and suffering, not necessarily from, physical, more of an emotional. They've been beat up or
Right.
brutalized over their lives and
Yes.
they're all tired and they want out. So that's great. We don't need to make this an hour. What I'm going to do is post your phone number right below right now, and just I'm going to recommend anybody that if you're dealing with emotional anything, if you're dealing with um, things that, and I'm telling you, I already know a couple of people I can refer to you. If you're dealing with anything that is keeping you not well, you have to examine who you are inside, and especially if it's a constant battle, because our body is truly meant to heal itself, and unfortunately, um, we're being attacked in all aspects of life and throughout the world right now. We have to be aggressive. I heard a doctor say, and I want to know what your thoughts are, and I'm actually getting one. I heard a doctor say, it used to be that it was a treat to go down and sit in a sauna for a couple of hours or
Yeah.
20 minutes and just get those toxins out. He said it's now a requirement. He said every family should have
You have
some
to.
form of sauna to sweat the toxicity out of the body.
You have to. I talk about this all the time. Growing up in the 70s and 80s, that old commercial for whatever deodorant, antiperspirant, secret or whatever, never let them see you sweat, and hold your arms up. That's so wrong. That's so backwards. We have to sweat daily. So, yeah, I have a personal sauna in my master bathroom. It doesn't take up too much room. It's got a little baby chair in it. This one's a steam one, but infrared is just as good. If not, maybe they're saying it's a little bit better. I like steam. So saunas are absolutely critically important, especially when well, all of our bodies are deficient because of the food system, but also because of the amount of toxins that we're exposed to. So the daily act of detoxification is critical. Daily, a warm glass of lemon water first thing in the morning, purge that liver, eat some raw food every day, do the sauna, get exercise, get in the sunlight. This is holistic healing, but this is what the body responds to.
That's a great confirmation. Appreciate that. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to say to people as we close?
No, the only thing I would add is that I do help people through trauma. I had to come through a lot of trauma in my life. And so now I do help people with those heavy, intense emotions that are just stuck. They have a block or a challenge. Maybe it's lack in an area of their life. So we work through all of these challenges and really help people rewire their minds to understand who they really are, the power of who they really are.
What would you charge just to let somebody go through that with you?
Go through the emotional
Yeah,
part. If it's just one visit, it's probably 150.
that's cheap.
Yeah, I have a written exercise that can get rid of, really remove the trapped emotions of a particular challenge or block or negative, like, I just don't like my mother-in-law. There's nothing I can do. She doesn't make me happy. I can remove that probably like 25 minutes through a written exercise. It's dynamic. It's all
Really?
just trapped energy. Once we understand the bioenergetic body and that we're energy, then we can understand emotions and thoughts are energy and they can pass through. It's our resistance of them that keeps them in place. That's a whole different conversation.
I have a couple clients. If they don't pay you, I'll pay you. I want them to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much. Normally these are really long. It's a Sunday. Um,
Yeah.
don't sweat it. You're probably going to get some phone calls over time. We're on Amazon and Android, Apple, LG, every Samsung, um,
Beautiful.
Roku. We have I think about 65K subscribers on YouTube, so you'll get some visits and
Beautiful. Yeah.
just anybody just tell them you heard it from his advocates and with Kelby, and we don't make anything. We're not asking for anything. We want to see people healed just like
Yes.
she does. Her heart seems right, so I'm super happy to have this new relationship where somebody's focusing on the stuff nobody's paying attention to, and
Right.
thinking it's all elements. That's one of the things I tell people. I said, because everybody pays me money to go through and get paperwork and support and how to do it all. I tell them the paperwork is 10%. I said 90% is reprogramming your brain as to who you are. And
Sure. That's exactly it. That's same here. That's exactly right.
yeah. So would you say it like that? It's like 10% is the food and the diet and supplements or more?
I would probably say 40% is lifestyle, and then 60% is waking up and really understanding really foundational truths about us. And it's all through the Bible. I mean, Jesus said it a billion times. If you just have enough faith, you could move a mountain of a mustard seed. He said, ye are gods. All these things I do, you too can do. Like
And
all over
greater.
us. And if you
And
exactly, and if you follow any of the sages, any of the prophets, all of our ancient gurus, Buddha, they all say the same thing, all of them. And the path was lit, but the path's been covered up now. We're just also sick, overweight, and toxic, and we're being dumbed down by all of these high fructose corn syrup, fluoride, chemicals, the TV. I mean, people don't even have a chance hardly, you know?
you hit it
So
on
I'm
the
a
head.
truth teller, I'm a whistleblower, and I'm a truth teller, and I help people really just wake up and begin a whole new transformation rather quickly.
Listen, I really appreciate it. If you are listening, call at the number below, and she'll help you with dealing with some of these suppressed emotions and more. So, thank you for your time, Laura, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And looking forward to talking to you again and working with you personally with a couple of people that I definitely want to send your way. All right.
Sure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
No, not a problem.